Shamal Maharaj, Swami Durgananda, was sitting at his desk. After just a few minutes, the three of us realized that we had some special relationship. I returned to India alone the next year and spent 2 months at Koalpara. One day Shamal said to me, "I would like to do something for these poor people." I replied, "Sonja and I would like to come and help." He answered, "Yes, do." For 3 years we had tried to start some work like this at Mayavati, and even with the active support of Swamis Ranganathananda, Gahanananda, and Lokeshwarananda, we could do nothing. Yet what we could not do after 3 years of concerted effort happened here in less than 30 seconds. I then said, "I will ask no one for anything. Let us see what Mother provides." Then, after a few months, Sonja and I were offered the Flow Fund grant by Marion Weber, a great-granddaughter of John D. Rockefeller. I deeply regret that Sonja is not a part of this video. She returned to the U.S. after only 2 months because our daughter had a baby in February, and this video was made in March. This is the mandir where Holy Mother herself installed and worshipped her photo and the Master's photo. These are the original photos the Holy Mother installed, and her footprints at the bottom. This is Deepak Maharaj, the Pujari. This is Pinaki Naga. Maharaj calls him engineer. He is running all of this work that we're doing completely by himself. I give him a little guidance, I sign the papers, but everything he does himself. This building is an office, monastery upstairs. And now we'll have a look at the Hatikaj, the women's work. This is the entrance to their showroom. One of the leaders of the women, and her work is fantastic. She's constantly working. She has made 10,000 rupees in probably 6 or 7 months. This is unheard of for a woman like her, young woman, only 20 years old. Sonja started working with these girls last year quite spontaneously. She was very uncertain about what she would do here, but every day she would sit at the ashram or our house and crochet, and slowly some girls and young women would gather around and watch, and gradually Sonja asked them if they would like to learn. So this work started quite naturally. They began by making a scarf, then a hat, and then a baby blanket. Their creative talent has been buried for many years, so the motto for them was to be artistic, creative, and to use their imagination. It started with a handful of girls, but some classes grew to 50 students or more. All told, in 2 years, over 200 have come to learn, and maybe 20 have stuck on and now have different things for sale in the showroom. I personally feel that this work with the women has been the most successful, as it really empowers these girls and women to be independent and in some cases self-sufficient. A man or woman doing field work can make between 30 and 60 rupees a day, but a good crocheter can easily make 150 to 200 rupees per day. We have just recently bought a sewing machine for the women, and they will slowly learn how to use it.
This is Prasanna Maharaj. When we first came here 2 years ago, he was Pujari. Now he's assistant Pujari and one of the main Pujaris at Bellarmont. Very fine young monk. When he was here, he was a brahmachari. He got his sannyas 2 years ago. This is Manoj, one of the ashram workers, one of the cooks. And this is Asid, one of the ashram workers. Very hard worker. Asi. And this is Subrata. It's a Brahmin priest family, and he helps here with the worship. That's his main job. This is the dining hall. And this far building is a monastery building where Maharaj lives. And any guest monks that come live here. This is Pintu. Pintu is the chief cook here at the ashram. Very fine young man. But this year his cooking is not so good because he got married. He married a young girl of about 16 years old. He's in his 20s, mid-20s. So there's some distraction now, but that will come back. He will recover. There's no question about that. This is Lalu, the ashram dog. Of course, there are many dogs in the ashram. And most of them are hopeless. They come and go freely. But this dog has a very special quality. Lalu, come. Come on. Hi. 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 These are some of the boys. Govinda, Botu, his mother works at the ashram. Dasa. Dasa is very special. They're all very special. Dasa has a very fine spirit. This is the desk where Maharaj was sitting when Sonja and I first came. Man is staying at Jagadamba Kutir maybe for some time. American has taken Indian citizenship. He's lived in India for many years. It took him 12 years to get his citizenship after much trouble. This is Bairog. Very poor man, extremely hard worker, but Bairog's specialty is cobras. He's not a snake charmer as such, but he will catch cobras, wild cobras, and bring them to the ashram and show them, which I really enjoy. The mission built one house for him a few years ago, brick house. And now we're doing one for his brother and his mother, mud house. Huh? Chalo! This is Jantu. He does all the ashram accounts. His grandfather was a disciple of Sarat Maharaj, and they own the house where we're staying. He's a local teacher, does private tuition, very fine young man. He's a disciple of Swami Bhuteshananda. Mita, Dup, Ja, Ja, Ja. All of these girls are doing the gymnastics program that we just started a few weeks ago. And this is Mita. Mita. Dup, Dup, Dup. Thiru. Jayanti. Mita. And this is a new bathroom that we're building at the ashram. Rabial. This is Rabial, Muslim mystery. This is his helper. I don't know his name. This is Shankar, a very fine mystery. One of the men who started with us originally on building the new houses. Now there's 5 or 6 mysteries working. And there's an actual competition amongst them to see who can work the fastest. This is very unusual for India. Shankar. Balaram. Upore Balaram. Balaram. Balaram, unusual story. He had an accident and was paralyzed for 6 months. And when I first saw him, he could barely work. Now he's working along with the mysteries, can work to almost full capacity. And one other thing is that he came to Sonja and learned to crochet. A very fine young man. This is Bosoon, another mystery. And when I first started to work, he followed me around like a dog, begging for a house. And I told him, stop following me like a dog. And he stopped. And then on his own, when we were putting in new tube wells, he offered to do the concrete base around the tube wells for free. So with that spirit, we decided to build a house for he and his son's wife, and their children. Kepi. Deko, huh? Deko ami. Alpo hasi. Huh? Hasi. And on her, they're walking.
These are scenes shot from our house. This woman walking from the well is Rooney's mother, the woman who's leading the crocheting. The fields extend here for miles now at the edge of the village. This is the mini well from where we take our domestic water. This is Sobita and Momita, two girls bringing grass back for their goats. This is Rangila, a very sweet girl, and she comes to the house most every day for biscuits and tea and things like that. This is Ashok. He's watering some new seedlings that they've planted. And this with his leaves on his shoulder, that's the mad doctor. The ashram is 5 minutes to the east of that building. And this is Bonti, another neighbor.
Get that new house here. That's one of the houses that we built.
Oh, this one? The skeleton?
Yeah.
For whom is this?
One person there. Pinaki! Come here and shoot the house.
This house where we're staying is over 100 years old. Actually, Swami Saradananda, Sarat Maharaj, lived in this house. And since that time, many other monks have lived in this house. And most probably Holy Mother visited this house, since Jagadamba Ashram, where she lived from time to time, is only about 150 yards to the south. The house was in a dilapidated condition, and when we took it over, we repaired it, painted it, and then added a complete bathroom on the outside. That's the white building to the right. You'll also notice to the right here is a brick oven that I built, and we will use this oven for teaching people how to bake bread, biscuits, and things like that.
Ray and his devotees. Look. The engineer.
This is a shot of our house from the western side, and directly behind it is where Pinaki lives. So you can see that we have our engineer very conveniently located. I can just call out the window, "Oh, Pinak," and he will come running. On the left of your screen, right there, is Jagadamba Ashram, and that is where Holy Mother lived from time to time in her travels between Jairambadi and Vishnupur, where she took the train to Calcutta. One extensive stay was for 6 months when Radhu had her child, and at other times she would stay from time to time. At the beginning of the formation of the order, 7 monks came from Koalpara and joined the order. Again, that's Jagadamba in the distance there. This is part of the Kotal family, our immediate neighbors. It's a huge joint family, 7 or 8 different families, maybe more. The Kotals years ago were dacoits. Dacoits are thieves and robbers. And once the Telobello dacoits came and beat the Kotals up badly. Now the Telobello dacoits were related to the dacoit father that Holy Mother had, that accosted her on her way to Calcutta at one time.
The one on the left is a cowshed. The one on the right is a house.
Oh.
And this is the one that we're building out over the Pukur, because they have very little land.
The music you hear in the background is from a wedding celebration. This loudspeaker business has been a chronic problem here in Koalpara. It actually can make life here quite unbearable. What you hear now is actually quite reasonable. If it had continued, both Sonja and I would not have been able to stay. So I decided to take some very decisive action this year. And one evening I went and cut the wires at 2 different locations and roughed up one of the young men after they ignored repeated requests by Maharaj to turn them down. Well, the next night, some of the local young men laid a trap for me. They had draped their loudspeakers with bare electrified wires so that if I came to cut their wires, I would be electrocuted. Pinaki forewarned me, but I went anyway, armed with 2 short concealed bamboo sticks. They also had hidden sticks, but they have no courage. They turned the amp off when I arrived. I scolded the hell out of them, and since then the problem has pretty much been abated. Let me add here that Swami Durgananda also went early one morning and pulled out the wires of a loudspeaker that had been on all night. The miscreants were sound asleep.
Okay.
This is Rana, wife of Chandi Fakir, a Muslim couple. I will never forget the first time we met. We went to their house and someone called her from her work. She came running through the paddy fields with such abandon and innocence and enthusiasm to talk with us. That picture will be forever branded in my heart. She subsequently came to Sonja to learn to crochet, and we have set Chandi up with a small ice cream business.
Garage.
This is Daspara, a very poor cobbler community. We are building 8 new houses here, as well as repairs to existing homes. The men here have entered into the work with a fantastic spirit, the best of all the men we have worked with in all of Koalpara. But their enthusiasm led to an unfortunate accident. They insisted on hiring a local tractor to drive about 15 kilometers to bring a load of cheap bamboo for their new homes. Pinaki and I both objected, but we gave in to their eagerness. While coming back with a towering load, the inexperienced, unlicensed driver, the son of the tractor owner, lost control, driving recklessly at high speed. The load tipped over, killing one young girl on the road and one of the men riding on the load. One other man on the load was paralyzed from the waist down. He may recover with time. And 4 or 5 others were knocked unconscious and injured, but they have since recovered and are back at work. We are now pressing for a settlement for the dead and injured, but I am insisting that instead of money, which will only be squandered, that land be given as compensation. This is Gopal's wife, who was paralyzed from the waist down.
She's standing in front of an extension on her old house.
This is Kajul, Haru's wife, and their hopeless house in the back. Kajul is very fine and expecting a baby in this photo probably within a few weeks. Haru, her husband, is one of the leaders of Daspara, and he was injured in the accident, but he's fine now and pretty much normal and back to work. This is the new house that we're building for them. And as I emphasized before, their spirit of cooperation and work ethic is just fantastic.
What is he doing with the
He's tanning it, he'll sell it. Cow is eaten.
They ate it?
Of course.
What do you mean?
Durga. Durga, Esho. Amar me.
You are becoming impressed.
Durga, Esho. This is Durga. Durga's husband was killed in the accident.
One
His name was Ganesh.
beaten bag is covered something. Did you see it?
Durga, Esho. Esho.
Covered it.
Asun. Durga, Asun. Amar me. Amar me. Ekani. Chalo. Pranam. Pranam. Durga, Esho.
She's up to now.
I don't know. Durga, Upori. Esho. Donna, pick her up. Pick her up. His new house.
At Ganesh's cremation, one of the local would-be politicians, we call him Janwar, or Beast, tried to sow dissent among this community by saying that the accident was my fault. But these people wouldn't buy into that, and word of this reached the Communist Party headquarters. They called Janwar in, and they soundly scolded him. He then ran to the ashram and repeatedly prostrated before Maharaj and begged his forgiveness.
Party, Alpo Hasi, huh? And his house is all right. We're going to do a kitchen room for him. And another new house. Is this Gopal's brother?
Yes.
This is Gopal's brother, who is paralyzed in the waist
Ganesh
down.
also.
This is a typical scene of the ashram at night, after arati and before dinner at 9 p.m. There is no distinction here of caste. Muslims and Hindus mix freely. Children, grown-ups, poor or low.
Durga. Why are you so serious? Hasi, Bessie Hasi. Bessie, Otto, Bessie. Sonja, Pooja, boss.
This is a seat. His home is near Koalpara, and his 5 baskets contain poisonous snakes. Occasionally, snake charmers like this come through the village, put on their display, and people will give them a few rupees. I love these men and their snakes. These cobras are defanged, but the men milk and sell their poison. But Vairag, who you saw before, does not defang his cobras. He gives them to men like a seat, but refuses to accept any money for them. Last year, during one of these performances, I was bitten on the big toe by one of the snake charmer's mongoose. Thank God it wasn't one of the cobras.
আরে অভিমানে বন্দি আছি লোহারে বাসু ধরে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে তোরে চান মুড়ির কানি কিসের দেবতা মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে জাগত গোয়বে ভোলা সাহেবেনের ঝিমায়ে পুজিব গো আরে জাগত গো ওবে ভোলা সাহেবেনের ঝিমায়ে পুজিব গো আরে নর লোকে করে পূজা চাঁদে করে মানা মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে পুষ্প পানি দিয়া দেবী পাঠাইলো তারে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে পুষ্প পানি দিয়া দেবী পাঠাইলো তারে মায়ে পুজিব গো ওরে যাইব সালাম প্রেমী রিহাস তাই তো ভেঙে দিলি মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে যারে যারে ওরে কেউটে তোরে দিলাম বরে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে যারে যারে ওরে কেউটে ও মা তোরে দিলাম বরে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে অভিমানে বন্দি আছি লোহারে বাসো ঘরে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে অভিমানে বন্দি আছি লোহারে বাসো ঘরে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে নুগড়ো ফসেল কুমড়ো মাগো ওমা বিধির লিখনে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে নুগড়ো ফসেল কুমড়ো মাগো ওমা বিধির লিখনে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে পুষ্প পানি দিয়া দেবী পাঠাইলো তারে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে ছাতালে পরে বতে আছি ওমা লোহারে বাসো ঘরে মায়ে পুজিব গো আরে ছাতালে পরে বতে আছি ওরে লোহারে বাসো ঘরে মায়ে পুজিব গো
Madhu, these snakes are alive.
Looks like that.
Very much. Very fine. What kind of snake is the little one?
That I don't know exactly.
Ask him if he can put all of them out at the same time, Debolina. Ask him if he can put all 5 out at the same time.
সবকটা একসাথে বার করতে পারবে?
No, they won't do that.
ও it is that.
ওই জন্য একটা একটা করে বার করতে হয়।
Yeah, ঠিক আছে।
আর সে একটা একসঙ্গে বার করে সে দুধে গুঁড়ো সাথে নাই না হবে।
You can see the hissing sound coming out of it.
Folks, bear with me on this one. This is right next to our house. This beautiful boy, Bplob, comes every morning for tea and biscuits and whatever else we might feed him. I can offer you no explanation for what you are about to see.
Oh, no, he's tasting his shit. Yeah,
No.
he just put his hand in his...
Don't kill. Oh. Is it cool? Oh. My God, very happy.
He's a beautiful kid. That's B-Plug.
Why did he have to do that? I did.
Here we are building a new bathroom at the ashram. These men working are our regular crew. The chief mason, Rabio, a young Muslim man, loves to work with me because he is open to learning new techniques, which I readily show him. This man in the blue lungi is Yashi, another Muslim. We are building a house for him. But of all the laborers, he works like an American. He arrives 1 hour early in the morning, mixes the mortar, carries the bricks, so that everything is ready by the time Rabiol and the other masons start their work. This is Teresa, an Argentinian woman and friend of Sonja. This is her second visit to Koalpara. Here she is repairing some old dresses, and she is also teaching some of the young women to use the new sewing machine.
কি বলছো? হ্যাঁ?
Hi there, Kotulpur. ঝড়ি মাথাটা নিয়ে দেখছি কে যাচ্ছে
Now we will visit Majipara, across the road from the ashram, which is one of the worst slum areas in Koalpara. It is in this community where we had the most problem with the young men and their loudspeakers. hasi, huh? Boro hasi. This is on the main road from Koalpara to Kotulpur, where there is a big market, many shops, phone and fax, and 2 banks. Come, Piru. This is Piru and Maya. And I saw them scavenging for firewood one day, and I saw how hard that they worked. They never asked for anything. So then I found out where they lived. I had Pinaki find out where they lived. And this is their house, their hopeless house. So we're building a new house for them and adding on to their present house, where the son lives. And these are the kind of people that we hope to help, who don't ask for anything. The beggar mentality is so strong here. I have a favorite Bengali expression for people who badger me. Amar rukto kabe, will you suck my blood? And I turn that expression around to our suppliers. Tomar rukto kabo, I will suck your blood. I would love to demolish this whole slum area of Majipara and build a completely new planned community. But I think that would wind up being a nightmare of land transfer, and I doubt we could get that sort of cooperation from the recipients. This is the Polly and Pantushi's mother. And those 2 girls come to the ashram, they've started gymnastics, and they do very fine gymnastics. There's about 25 girls starting gymnastics, and when the examination is finished, many more will come. One of the big problems here in Majipara and a few of these other places is alcohol problem. These people don't tolerate alcohol very well. And there are some habitual drunks. Donna, pan on this brick house. This brick house was built by the mission. It cost about 45 to 50,000 rupees. It's really hopeless construction because the beneficiaries cannot participate in the construction. It must be done by professional masons. It has a tin roof which bakes in the summertime and is cold in the winter, and the bricks hold the heat, but they also hold the cold and the dampness, and the concrete floor is really hopeless for health reasons. So this house costs about 45 to 50,000. Our houses are costing 12 to 15,000, so that we can build 3 houses for the cost of this one brick house. And I think that our houses are even bigger than these brick houses. This was done by the mission through Bellarmont.
Why did they make this house? No, but why? Who is staying here?
They built about a dozen of these houses a few years ago.
Okay.
Why they built them? Just to help a few people. A few years ago, there was an earthquake in Uttarkashi. 2 monks I know were asked to head the relief work. One said, let's find out what these people need first. He was immediately removed from the project. The relief they rendered subsequently was hopeless, and at the dedication ceremony, with many big shots present from Bellarmont, a key to the new community was ceremoniously handed over to the local leaders. They took the key and threw it back to the monks.
BK worked, the young boy, he worked at the ashram for many years. Now he's learning truck driving. He has a sister, Juma. His mother, you saw in the photo, was selling fish there on the street. The father just died of alcohol poisoning about a year ago. So we just reconstructed part of the house and put a new roof on it. The front. And now we've added an extra room. BK, when he comes back from his work, will have an extra room to stay in. And to the right is the kitchen room.
This is a typical stove that uses wood and leaves and cow dung cakes for fuel. Next year we will design and build many new stoves with chimneys. These present stoves fill the kitchens with smoke, which cause many eye and respiratory problems.
An habitual drunk, lame in one leg, walks with a stick. A really hopeless man, but his wife is very nice. And I think they have 4 girls, really tough little girls. I didn't even know that I wanted to do this house, but I didn't know that Pinaki had started it. So now the roof is complete, and the walls will be redone. You can see the cement posts there. I think maybe some of them are new. But this will give you some idea of the initiative that Pinaki takes, and I don't even know about it. He knows the need. He takes care of it. He doesn't bother me with the details, nor does he even ask permission to do something like this. So that takes a great burden off of me. I don't have to worry about making decisions of exactly who to do it for. He knows the need. His decision is as final as mine or Maharaj's. Boundary kind of Majipara. And then you see the rice fields. Previously they were planted to potatoes, which were just harvested.
Okay.
We're going to walk by where this woman is standing, and she'll stand there until we go by. She's waiting to go to the bathroom, to the toilet. Or as they say in Bangla, paikana. Our toilet scheme has not been too successful. We did about 15 last year, and maybe half of them are being used. I think the rest that they use for storage. And that's unfortunate. They don't have that habit. But because of the tremendous population pressure, which is not so bad here in Koalpara, it creates somewhat of a problem. Daspara, which you'll see in a minute, and it's connected with Daspara, where the boys had the accident. Maharaj helped him probably a couple of 3 years ago set up a little bicycle repair business here. He makes very little money. Alpo Paisa. And this is Daspara here. Maharaj did a lot of work here on his own last year with our money. I didn't really know much about it, but those new roofs that you see were all done by him with the grant money. Anjali? Oh no, not Anjali. Chalo. Daspara has the most beautiful women in all of Koalpara. And there are some others here that aren't in this photo. You'll see some of them. And I have a theory about that. All of the men are funny looking in India, and the women are very beautiful. All the men, the best of the men, have been removed from the gene pool by the monastic tradition. Not so with the women. Take a close up of that one, her face.
Which one?
Coming. Hasi hasi, eh? Everyone looks like his Moragachi, eh? Ki, googly? Oh, Boro googly, eh? Ande.
Oh, Kuboro Googly, huh?
Googly.
Huh?
Ah.
These are stales just like you get in Chinatown. My middle son, Nicholas, he could eat a whole bowl like that when he was a kid when we would be in Chinatown.
You eat?
This is Bharati. She comes to the ashram. Used to come a lot last year. Lost her husband recently. He was sick, must have been in a lot of pain, and he killed himself by taking poison. This house in the background is a mud house built by one of the progressive monks of the order a few years ago. Sounds funny, doesn't it? But it fills their needs much better than the brick houses. Oh, Sunil Bo. Sunil is like the leader of the community. Maharaj set him up with a tailor shop, and now he has a very successful tailor shop. They have electric light here, TV, and that's his wife.
Yeah.
This house with all the rags in front, that's their kitchen room. This man makes coal, which is a clay drum with rawhide on it as a drum. And I just bought one for him. I think it was 700 rupees maybe. And this house where this purple sari is hanging with the yellow border, that's a new house that we've just done. Again, this is Daspara, the other end, the southern end of Daspara. It's a small village, maybe 30 houses, 40 houses in it, one brick house.
Okay.
The brown earth on the side of the black wall is termite mounds. Now, those are made up high, and the people never remove these. And in some houses, they're inside and they're huge. They'll take up a third of the room, and they do puja in front of them.
What?
It's very beautiful, very fine.
Why?
That's just the caring Indian spirit. They won't destroy anything.
Okay.
On the right in the green shirt, blue shirt is Shankar, and next to him is Apu, and then Shankar's wife is on the left. Now Shankar, we started out, he was the first mystery carpenter that we started with. And Apu was his helper. And particularly Apu was quite hopeless. He would stand around doing nothing. And boy, I cracked the whip on him. Now Apu is a full-fledged mystery. He can do all the work by himself. And the man who just came into the picture is Basudev. He's another carpenter. Now these men, they each build a house themselves with the aid of the people we're doing it for and other helpers. But now there's a competition amongst them to see who can work fastest. And this is so satisfying and unheard of in India. To work with most of these people is a nightmare. But now they have a competition, and there's no fooling around. No one has to push them. They do all of this on their own.
I'd like to do it.
Kaj. Basudev, Kaj, ekun.
আজকে বাড়ি যাবো
Kaj, ekun. Photo. Ja. Boos nee. Jabbo.
আমি রান্না করছি তো এটা পালিস তো পরে করবে একটু ঘষে নেবো না
Agun.
আগুন
Open, Agun. No, open. Tell them to open the fire so we can see the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Follow.
আউদি খা হ্যাঁ টানো শুন টানো
He's forging a cautery, a new cautery, which is a knife that they use for cutting coconut and grass and many uses. You're going to screw up the film?
Yeah.
And
Maybe
we'll
it's
then
better
take it in the other
after.
direction. Well, then when we left it was cloudy. I thought that it would, these new shiny houses, shiny roofs that you see, those are our new houses that we're doing. All right, bye.
일단 한번 가야 돼서 나는 내가 새가 됐다. 나는 들거든. 한번 가야 돼. 같이.
Fatima. No husband, very poor. She catches fish, shrimp. And she's very happy when she catches something to bring into our house to offer to us. Very fine young woman.
You want to eat here?
No.
No, no.
I thought if she had some eggs. Ma, Hasi. This old lady is very fine. The love coming out of her is so strong, almost overpowering at times. She has a scar on her chest. Some boil or some problem. I don't exactly know what it is.
তারপরে আবার এইখান থেকে ভালো হয় আবার এইখানে লাগছে কি গলা তো ঠিক আছে গলা ঠিক আছে ভিতরে লাগছে কি কথা বলে এই পানেটা
This is Donna on the left. She's from Romania and has lived in India for the past 6 or 7 years. And that's Mama in the middle. She stays at Gold Park, also with Donna. She's a student in Calcutta.
No, doctor. You make fun of them or what? No. But this is strange, huh? So the doctor said to go to a better hospital. But you were born like this hospital. She was born
You see the scar on this baby? She was born like that. And they don't know what the problem is. But the kid seems to be normal. So what to do?
কোনো প্রবলেম কোনো অসুবিধা হয়
কার না
না
কি এখন কি
This house, if I remember correctly, has about 22 people living in it. And maybe 4 small rooms, staircase in the middle. And out of those 22, I think only 2 or 3 are men. One of the men living there, his house had collapsed in a storm. And this is the new house that we're building for them. But what Pinaki has done is that he's made the house bigger than the normal house that we build to accommodate the overflow in the old house. Here's a young girl making cow dung cakes, which they use for fuel. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'd like to see it returned to the land as fertilizer. Kepi? Hasi? Alpo Hasi? Huh? Balo. This is a house that Maharaj had given permission and the money to build, but he does it without supervision. And when I found out about it, I was furious, because they're building a 2-story house, which is much more expensive. But it was good, because after that, I took that responsibility away from Swami Durgananda. I said, you do whatever you like, but you pass all of these projects through Pinaki, so that he can supervise the layout, the size of the house, and the construction style. And he agreed to that immediately, and it takes somewhat of a burden off of him also. And this is the old house, the new 2-story house, and the old house, so you can kind of get an idea of the conditions under which some of these people live. This is Asa. Her husband is working in the crew. Today he's working on the bathroom at the ashram. And this is their house. And very shortly we're going to start work on this house. Vandana, she and her friend come to the ashram quite often. And Maharaj did the new roof on their house last year. So we probably won't have to do anything more for her. That's her house in the background. This is Chaya and Bella. Chaya on the left, and I'm going to pan to her house, which is in the distance. This is a new house which they are building. And I knew nothing about this house until just the other day. But Maharaj has okayed this house and given him the money to do that. This is Chaya up close. Chaya Hasi, huh? Boro Hasi, huh? Hey, Kepi, Kire. Huh? Sean. On our journey here, Donna and Mama were tired, so we stopped here and we're going to have some omelet with muri. I'll do a quick scan of 4 or 5 houses. There's one in the background there, you don't see it very well. A couple of widows live in that house. There's one behind that house. And this is one house here. Another house. This little house, 2 older couple live in this house. That's actually a very nice house. We'll probably do a roof on that. One of the typical mud houses. This house, very fine young couple live in this. A very bad conditioned house. The roof is now on, the old structure is standing, but that will all be redone. This man has very nice spirit and initiative. This is Dilip. Dilip to mama.
He doesn't have money.
Dilip is also part of the crew working with us, but he also does the work on his own house. Very quiet, very gentle boy. Married. Children, I'm assuming. We're very happy to do something for him. These people have such a simplicity and sincerity about them. Hard to imagine coming from the West. This is Piru's old house, and I think someone also was living in here. I'm not exactly sure. Pinaki would know that. And then this is the new house, and I believe, if I'm correct, this was a cow shed. This is where the cow shed was. And now they have a very nice house. This man also works on our crew. Those are the kind of men we look for. They will work with us, do their own work. This house in the distance belongs to a young man. One of the first houses we just did the veranda roof. It had a tin roof on it. And we were supposed to split the cost 50-50 with the man who owned it. And he also worked with us. He was very eager to work with us. But then he started shenanigans, and he was dragging the whole crew down. So we warned him a couple of times, but his shenanigans continued. And just no spirit in the work, very lazy, kind of resting, complaining of backache. So we canned him. And of course we never got the half of the money for the other roof. That's all right, I don't have a problem with that, but I was very disappointed in his behavior. But his wife is very fine. She's pregnant, expecting a child, and she also came to Sonja to learn to crochet. She does very nice work. This was the first house that we started, and the first house that we completed. Done for Tapan, the Brahmin priest rides around on a motorcycle doing worship. Maybe he makes 10 or 15 rupees a day. He's crippled in one hand. He rides his bike with one hand. older man. Now he's living in this new house. All right, this man, he has some problem, health problem. And this is his old house. And the new one. And what more to say? This man, though, is interesting. I don't know this, but Pinaki told me that he attends the Panchayat meetings. The Panchayat is the local governing body. Now, he's not a member, but for some reason he attends the meetings. Now, maybe he has some input. But he's our spy in the Panchayat. Whatever goes on in there, private discussions, we know about it through this man. And I've never talked to him. I see him at the ashram, say hello to him, and this is the first time that I'm connecting him with this house. Interesting story, huh? Our Panchayat spy. This is the snake man. He catches wild cobras. And he'll bring them to me and show them. Very fine man. Bairag. Balo. And he's one of the recipients of one of those brick houses. And now we're doing a house for his mother and brother. And another one or two houses in this area. All right, this is in Vairag's area, the snake man. And one day I was here and this young boy came out and he handed me an elephant, a clay elephant. Not this one, this is a black one, he had a brown one. And it was so beautiful, I told him to make some more things and to bring them to the ashram for sale. And this young boy, at this age, to do this kind of work, is very talented. Now the brown elephant was a lot better proportioned and better. It was much more well done than this one. Anyway, we got this boy some paints and pens and pencils and paper for drawing. I've seen some of his drawing. He could actually draw a fairly decent representation of the photo of Sri Ramakrishna. Now, we're also hoping to start art classes here, along with the karate and gymnastics, which we've started, as well as swimming classes. So hopefully this boy can learn something very nicely.
These Muslim men stopped on the road to talk with us. Their village is Shiromanipur, near Shihor, where Ramakrishna's nephew Ridoy came from. They asked us about doing work in their village, and I replied I thought it was too far away. But we may do something there next year on a small scale. I told him I would come next year and eat beef at his home.
Everywhere. I cannot do all of India. My funds are very limited. Very limited.
Backward society. Backward society. Srimanipur is a backward society.
This house here in front of us, they've asked us for a new house, so we did a little exploring and found out that they have 7 daughters. Now, when you have 7 daughters in India, you're out of luck because you've got to pay a big dowry for each daughter to get married. So I told them, how much do you have to give for each daughter? And they said some 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 rupees. I said, if I give you a new roof, it'll just be subsidizing your daughter's marriage. So we decided not to do anything for these people. And they have money, just that they want to save for their daughter's dowry, and I refuse to participate in that. This is Sitaram. This is one of the outskirts of Koalpara. And he has also some health problems. And we're building a house for him. It's a little cramped in here, so it's difficult to get a clear shot. But one of my favorite projects is to build a house on the Pukor, because they waste all of that space. So this is one of those houses. This is the new house, and there's the Pukor. And the veranda will go partly here, and the main part of the veranda right on the Pukor, overlooking the Pukor. They'll get a very nice breeze there, cooling effect from the water. It will be very fine. You taking now?
Yeah, I take some people.
Just tell me where you're going.
Okay.
I'll watch.
This is Santalpara. The Santals are tribals, hunters, bow and arrow types, though this has been lost for many years now.
Move.
Which way?
Maharaj loves these people dearly.
Just tell me left or
They
right.
live away from Koalpara, on the edge of the village, and they keep to themselves.
Next.
They now farm land that Maharaj has allowed them to cultivate. We are presently drilling a new irrigation well for them, so that they will have water for this large area, and they can grow 3 crops a year.
Oh, very good.
I am sorry for the poor quality of this section of the video. It was shot at night with only a flashlight and the fire. This part is a little long, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Beam! Hey, Beam! Is it off?
Yeah.
Beam! Apo Hasi, huh? Hello!
Oh, yes. I know
You know.
what's silently going on.
Suffering under the glare of the camera lights, huh?
Yes. But because with them, so I am enjoying.
Okay.
This is the only place where you will see women dancing, and the Calcutta women can join right in. This is my last day in Koalpara this year. Here you'll see preparations going on to distribute saris, longis, and children's clothes to the poorest of the poor in Koalpara. We are also building houses for most of these people.
Hasi hasi? Hey, Ma, say something funny to it.
এই তাকিয়ে হাসো
হাসো
কাতুকুতু দিয়ে দেবো দেখি মেয়েটার মেঘ খোলা
Bye, start opening those. Start opening those.
You have a sinner?
Oh. No, that won't work. Yeah, okay, try. BD Kevin? Huh? Oh, those are saris for widows? Huh? Oh, Jai, Newton Jamba, Loti, Samba. Bella.
দাঁড়া ওগুলো আমি বুঝতে
Open, open. Okay, I'm going. I'll see you later.
So you've
The
been
camera's
here?
working?
Yeah. Cuckoo.
These are some of Sonja's students bringing gifts for her. Get out of the bag. Thank you. Nilo, put it on the table.
Very nice.
Oh, we have the two big ones.
Very nice.
One more. Hold on. Your mother is coming? No.
Very soon.
Sin. বউ কোথায়? আসি, হ্যাঁ? অল্প, বেশি, বড় গাছি। Pinaki's brother.
Yeah. I just took it.
Tara, hey, awesome.
Ray, I'll keep 10 minutes for the children. With the
More. How much do you need of this? Not much.
I don't know. I will not take now anymore. I'll take when you start giving.
When they're giving in the saris and stuff start going, have Kepa, Sean, Sonja.
Okay.
This is something Sonja wants. I discussed it with you before. I will call you and tell you when to go ahead with it. Okay? I will call you and tell you to go ahead with it, but don't do it now. It's on name. This is my last day in Koalpara, March 26th. I'm now distributing many saris, laundry, shirts, pants for children, dresses for little girls, primarily to those people that we built houses for. This is Pinaki, blind man. He sings on the bus, and he makes pretty good money doing that. Maybe 100 rupees a day. And we're building a house for him.
সামনে গিয়ে মায়ের চরণ ছুঁয়ে দেব দূর থেকে শুধু চোখের জলে মার রাঙা পা ধুয়ে দেব মায়ের আরতি যখন করবে মার পূজা দীপ তুলে ধরবে মায়ের আরতি যখন দেখতে দিও মায়ের একটু হাসি শুধু মায়ের একটু হাসি আমায় একটু জায়গা দাও
Recta, can I cello? Asa and Tuku's grandmother. Asa and Tuku, two orphan girls.
জীবন জীবনের জন্য একটু সহানুভূতি কি মানুষ পেতে পারে না জীবন জীবনের জন্য একটু সহানুভূতি কি মানুষ পেতে পারে না ও বন্ধু মানুষ মানুষের জন্য জীবন জীবনের
This is Savitri. Her husband left her for another woman and married another woman who lives in Calcutta. We're having difficulty getting the title to her house.
মানুষ
We'll
মানুষের
see what happens.
জীবন জীবনের জন্য একটু সহানুভূতি মানুষ পেতে পারে না ও বন্ধু মানুষ মানুষের জন্য বলো কি তোমার ক্ষতি জীবনের অথই নদী পার হয় তোমাকে ধরে দুর্বল মানুষ যদি বলো কি তোমার ক্ষতি জীবনের অথই নদী পার হয় তোমাকে ধরে দুর্বল মানুষ যদি মানুষ যদি সে নয় মানুষ দানব না ও বন্ধু মানুষ মানুষের জন্য জীবন জীবনের জন্য একটু সহানুভূতি
Jai Singh, very fine man. We're building a house for him out over the water. Very fine man, fine 3 sons. Anabi Khan, Muslim. Come on, Keppa. These are all workers. I won't bother you with their names. And also we're building houses for most of them. Shankar Bolkotai. Shankar Bolkotai. Balona. It's on the shelf there. Again, more of our workers. Oh, Morigachi, huh? Phone is a local tractor driver, delivers bricks and sand, cement, things like that, stone chips. I think he makes about 1,000 rupees a month. We're doing his house also. Ah, Ballo. Bharati. Ah, Maragachi, huh? Hasi. Huh. Ah, this woman is beautiful. What a wonderful woman. One of the women that made the blanket. Bholti's mother. Second wife of Ramcharan Kotal.
Hi.
Very fine woman. Very fine daughter. Very fine family. Bholti. This is Bholti, the daughter. And Priyanka, her niece. Priyanka! This is Runu. This is the girl who crochets constantly and runs the whole operation more or less now. We try to have her run it with 3 other women, but the 3 other women turn out to be hopeless. There was big fighting also, but now Rooney has settled down and it looks like she'll have to take full responsibility for the women's work. She's made probably at least 10,000 rupees in 1 year. Unheard of accomplishment.
একজন বাইরে যেন এখানে থাকে, অন্য কেউ যেন না থাকে। তোমার দুটো ফ্যামিলি হচ্ছে, দেখে নাও তোমাদের দায়িত্ব।
তোমার কটা ছেলে কটা?
আচ্ছা, দিলীপ কোটাল ছেলে। হ্যাঁ, লুঙ্গি।
একটা লুঙ্গি দিদি।
এটা হবে তো এটা?
ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে। দিতে পারো, ফকও দিতে পারো, ওই গেঞ্জিটা ওটা সবার জন্য কমন, বাচ্চাদের জন্য কমন ওটা।
একটা গেঞ্জি দাও, একটা গেঞ্জি দাও।
হ্যাঁ, পরে
এই তোমরা ডাকলে
এই যে পড়ে গেল
গোপাল, গোপালের জন্য তোমার ছেলে
শ্রীকান্ত।
শ্রীকান্ত, হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে। শ্রীকান্ত একটা জামা দিয়ে
হবে না
হবে, দেখেন বললাম না। হ্যাঁ, তোমার ইয়ে হিরো কথা
এইটা দাও, এটা দাও পড়ে দিও। জানে না তো হবে না এটা
কি বলছে
তোমার বউ আছে।
এবার আমরা
Pinaki,
ভৈরব, ভৈরব
কোথায়?
কালীতলা ভৈরব।
ও কালীতলা, জানি না।
ওইদিকে বাড়ি।
Is he working with us?
No,
No.
that's লঙ্গি।
একটা বেটা ছেলে আছে
Hey, can I bow? Chili?
এইগুলো
হিন্দি দাও।
This side. Photo. No. This side.
লঙ্গি দাও, ভৈরবকে লঙ্গি রেখে দাও, দিয়ে দাও।
না ঠিকই হবে
ঠিকই হবে।
শাড়ি দিয়ে দাও
Can I?
How did you get started doing this kind of work? You just started doing it, or what?
Oh, it's after my first visit to India. I fell in love with the place. I've been involved in this business since I was a kid.
Is anyone here for the photo, Rooney? How many girls are here who worked on the blanket?
কতজন আছে বুঝতে পারছি না এটা চারজন
বাচ্চাটার একটা বিয়ে দিল মা বিয়ে নিল ওই মাটা একটা সারা বাচ্চাটা একটা
Ma, sorry, up. Hey, hey, son.
These are some of Sonja's students who got together and crocheted squares for this blanket. They were then sewn together, and finally the edge was crocheted. I brought this blanket back, and Sonja presented it to Marion Weber. She was delighted.
Oh, very so. Gloom or doom or gloom? Oh, last one. I must put new film in the camera. Don't go away. Balo Mosh, huh? Ki naam? Mosh naam ki?
নাম রাখি না
Ki?
নাম রাখি না
Rachina? Eta?
They don't have name.
Yes, they all have names.
He said they don't have. They
Oh,
don't
said
keep
they
name.
don't have names.
It's part of the Koalpara.
I hope that this has given you some idea of village life in Koalpara, at the ashram, and a little of the work that was done. I'm sorry that so little of Sonja's work has been recorded. Next year we'll do a film just on the women of Koalpara.